It is alive, but I do start the story after I wait for a couple of people to start, and then there's no stop chopping and changing, is what I was trying to say. So if you want to fast forward to the story, that's fine, or it does get re-uploaded into my videos at the weekend. So that's that. I'm also on the TikTok. If you want to have a look over there, it's Jess Rose 5472. Or if you'd like to join my Patreon, it's patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. Or you could just watch. Subscribing would be great. Or just watching. Any of the above. So I'm just going to have a quick chat with the guys in the live, and then I'm going to start. How we doing, guys? Hey, sis. Hey, Warwick. How are we? Are we all ready for tomorrow? Before everyone else joins, are we all excited? I'm very excited. But how are we? Are we okay? Did we have a good weekend anyway? Yay! I'm very excited. Did we have a good weekend at the... Oh no, stop. Okay. Shh. It's because there was just us, but then I forget. Oh, got an appointment for my elbow on Friday, so I can stop going on about my elbow when I come back off my holiday. I had to have it for my holiday. I was like, I can't go on holiday with it like this. So they've took pity on me, and they're going to fix it. So there we go. Do you see my kind of tan? I've been in the sun today. You can't really see it on here. Well, I'm very red. I'm very crab sticky. You had a good weekend. Fabulous. At the Fantasy Island. I'm going to have to try it one day. I still haven't been. I'm going to have to give it a... I know. That's what I was saying. It's coming. It's on its way. I went outside today. Look at the arms. I'm getting there. Wait until I go to Lanzarote. I'm going to come back like a goddess. You watch. Glad they're going to do so. Oh, hi, Julie. Yes, they are. I'm going to have my steroid injection again. It's the third one. It just keeps on coming back. So I look like you after this. I look like an angry... I don't look like an angry lobster. I look tanned. I'm all tanned. Look at me. I'm not like an angry lobster. This is my tan. Don't mock it. At least it will be. Hopefully it'll go brown. See? Warwick loves a lobster. Hang on. Yes, that's right. Yes. But no, you tan though, because I'm tanned. This is tan. This is. Just jealous of my tan. Don't mock my tan. Don't mock it. But you watch when I come back. I'm going to be like, you're not going to recognise me. You're not going to recognise this. It's just going to be like, oh my God, who's that? And it's going to be me. Jilly, how was the painting this weekend? How did it go? I've got to admit, I burnt my legs as well. How was the painting? Was it good stuff? Are you all done now? Are you all done with the paint job? I've got a fly in this room. Back doors in my living room. So if I have it open, the flies are just like, yay! Let's get in from the sun. Let's get out of the sun. Let's go in. So they just welcome themselves. We're not burnt. We are tanned. We are tanned. I am. You're not. You go red. I'm tanned. I'm very tanned. I'm going to get the kids out of the weekend as well, because I can't have them burning like they did last year. So I'm going to throw them out in the garden this weekend for like half an hour a pop. Just see if I can just get something on them. Well, Lawson's okay, but Madam, she's us, isn't she? You're not tan too. You're not. Stop lying. Oh dear. We'll just have to accept it. We're just not meant to be brown, are we? It's just not in our blood. We're not meant to be. I'm sure we're supposed to be ginger, really. Well, yeah. Anyway, how are we? Oh, I have to stop talking sometimes, don't I? I didn't even mean anything by that. You find yourself thinking, can I say that? Oh, God, it hurts so bad. 3 more days and then it'll go. But in your defense, you do actually get Brian, me not so much. And shh. No, not. I see. I shouldn't have said anything. See, I said it out loud. Didn't mean it. Oh, God. I said it once about my son. I was like, he had cradle cap and I was like, he's not ginger. I got to stop talking. I'm going to have to restart the life. I don't have anything. There's no problem. Oh, God. Oh, dear. Right. Anyway, what did Tiffany say? I do get brown. That's what I was trying to say. I do get brown. Where we literally are. Gotta stop. I don't know. It's the sun. It's the sun. The sun happened. And all of a sudden, 47 years later, Jessica opens her mouth. I keep saying that. I keep saying 47 years later. It is my birthday soon, but I'm not here for it. I'm in Lanzarote for it. When is my birthday, actually? I don't know. Did it? Is that what happened? Oh, dear. That was too easy, Tiffany. Oh, God. Right, okay. I need to stop, don't I? And this is going to be a long one, so I'm going to start in a second. Going to devastate you all. You might be laughing then. Oh, dear. God's sake. I just need to stop speaking. And I'll be fine then. I'll be all right once I start the story. It's just when I try and talk. Hi, Jessica. How are you? Oh, YouTube hubby's not here tonight. He's out with his brother tonight at a barbecue. He is. He's not here this evening. But you can stay with us. We're just talking about the sunburn. Sunburn. Tiff's favourite, a long one. Why a long one? Oh. Just got it. Right, okay, don't pull the face. I've got to stop. I'm going to start the story now because I'm just going to end up getting myself in trouble otherwise. I've already done that today. I had a video taken down, which I'm not happy about. But anyway, hey ho, let's go. So, right, yeah, I'm going to start. If you are all happy for me to begin, I'm going to do my second intro. If we're all good. Long story he's on about. I say it's going to be a long one. Story. Or have I missed something? Am I trying to mock you and I've missed something? I'm just going to start because I do this. I get involved thinking I'm clever. And then I've just missed the joke anyway. So, yeah, I know. That's what I said. I shouldn't even get involved. Right, can you hear the fan? I have the quieter one on, but I need it. It's so hot. Can you hear it? Say, I went quiet then so you could hear it. Can you hear it? Let me know. Tell me if you can hear it. Oh, okay, there we go. Excellent, excellent. Right, let's go then. Okay. Ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. It's True Crime with Jess Rose. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays are my request evenings. Thursdays are stories I like to bring to you. You're an idiot. Stop it. Do you know why I interrupted myself then as well? Because I remembered I didn't say that in the first intro. I didn't say I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday. So you're not, just stop it now. Just let me get on with it. Okay. Right, I don't know what that is. So I'm going to leave you to get on with it because that's obviously a conversation I wasn't involved in. So let's go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. It's True Crime with Jess Rose. Tuesdays are my request evening. Thursdays are stories that I like to bring to you. I'm also over on the TikTok, which is Jess Rose 5472. Or you can join my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. If you put any requests on there, they get done first. I've lost myself. Or you could subscribe. I'd really appreciate that too. Completely forgot myself then. Or just watch. Just watch. That I'd appreciate that just as much as all the rest. So I'm going to begin the story now. It's the Harrowing Leiliana. Bear with me. Leiliana. Oh, I practiced this little girl's name all day. Leiliana. Okay. Okay, so the Harrowing Leiliana Wright story. I'll be fine once I start. It's just I'd practiced it all day, and as soon as I go to say it, this is what happens. So, okay. Leiliana Wright, she was born on the 22nd of January 2012 in Galveston, Texas. It's an American story. Her mom is Jerry Casada. Her dad, Brian Maker. Okay. Now, I'm also going to mention her maternal grandmother and her paternal grandparents because their names will be mentioned in the story. So her maternal grandmother, i.e. Jerry's mother, is Adeline. Okay, and her paternal grandparents, which is Brian's parents, is Elise and Craig, although it's pronounced, because it's an American story, it's pronounced Craig for some reason. So it's Elise and Craig Clackley, okay? So they're the names I'll bring in during the story, okay? Now, Leiliana was born, it's very sad, she was actually born in prison, okay? Where her mum, we're going to do this right from the beginning, where her mum, Jerry, was serving 6 years for burglary, and at this point, Jerry was 26, okay, she's around 26, 27 at this point. Now, Leiliana was, at that point, taken in by Brian's parents, which is Elise and Craig, if you remember Clackley that I mentioned, when she was 2 days old. 2 days old, and she's already, born in prison. It's very, very sad. Now, Leiliana, she's a really pretty little girl, really pretty little girl, happy little baby, just the light of a grandparent's life. She really was. Now, as a toddler, she'd sing and she'd dance around the room. It's what she loved to do. Her favourite song was 10 Little Monkeys Sitting on a Bed, One rolled over and the other. I think it's that one. I think it would be that one. And she loved that song. She's a very, very cute little girl. You can see all the photos online. If you do want to look online, though, there will be other photos on there of her. So just be careful when you're looking. Now, when she was 2, okay, Leiliana was still living with her paternal grandparents. Now, Brian, her dad, I don't know why he couldn't look after her. It's not said why she couldn't live with him. But she was very happy with her grandparents. He did see her. He was very much involved in her life. She just lived with his parents. So she had this whole little support network around her. She was very, very loved. And Elise and Craig would even bring her into the prison, okay, to visit her mum. I just think that's quite, it's amazing of them, really. On occasion, they'd bring her in. They'd also give Jerry, her mum, money to buy what she needed while she was in prison. They'd do that as well. Now, don't forget, this isn't her mum. Her mum's Adeline. This is his parents. So I just thought that was really, it just, the fact they took Leiliana in and they're helping her, I just think it shows they were just a really kind couple. Now, we get to December of 2013, all right? And Leiliana's age 1. She's nearly 2, all right? And Jerry has been released from prison, all right? She's out on parole. And she gains custody back of Leiliana. Even though Jerry herself was a known drug addict, she'd just been in prison for burglary, okay? And she'd also, before Leiliana was born, she'd had 2 children, which would have been Leiliana's older siblings, taken off her in 2008. So she'd lost a couple of kids. She was a known drug addict. She was in prison for burglary. And when she comes out, they go, do you know what? Here you go, try again. Here's another one. See if you can do this one okay. I just think, for God's sake. Then we get to October 2014. Now, at this point, Leiliana is 2. And Jerry gives birth to a little boy, okay? And this was with a boyfriend who was a known violent felon, okay? Now, at this point, Jerry had allowed Elise and Craig, obviously Leiliana's paternal grandparents, as I've mentioned, she would allow them to visit Leiliana, even though they were the only people she'd known from when she was 2 days old. Now, they were just down to the odd visit. And that was for around the first 6 months after she came out of prison. But then it started to dwindle. And then once she met this boyfriend and had another child, it's like, oh, well, we're going to slow these visits down, which I just think is a disgrace. It's awful. Then we get to the 20th of October, 2014, and CPS were called. Child services basically were called, okay? But they were called regarding Leiliana's little brother, okay? He's only a few days old at this point. And they were called because he was born with drugs in his system, okay? Now, Jerry, it seems, had been taking meth. That was her drug of choice at the moment. And she'd actually been taking meth while she was pregnant with this little boy. What do you call it now when someone changes themselves? This reformed character who's just been given her daughter and gone on to have a son. Just ridiculous, okay? So on the 9th of November 2014, there is another CPS report, okay? This time, it's about not only the baby boy, but also Leiliana herself. And what it was is Jerry had been pulled over driving, obviously. And there was meth in the car, and Leiliana was in the car. Now, because she'd been on parole, this meant she had to go back inside. Not for long. I think she was only in a month or so. But Leiliana was taken into emergency custody and then released to Jerry's boyfriend, you know, the violent felon. Okay. And obviously, this is the baby's dad. So he now gets a daughter that's not his and his son because his new girlfriend has got caught with meth in the car and violated her parole. It's a whole mess, okay? When Jerry comes out, she then decides to leave this boyfriend, the father of her youngest son, okay? But she goes and moves in with his relatives for a little bit. You know, she's never in anywhere for very long. She's really not, okay? And like I say, this didn't last very long. And Leiliana went back to live with Elise and Craig, her grandparents, where she's happy. She's really happy. I mean, she's only been back with her mum. Where are we? Less than a year. And, you know, she'd already been stopped seeing these people that she would have seen as her parents. That she would have saw them as her parents. She would have. But she goes back to them. And at this point, the couple file to try and gain custody of Leiliana. You know, they've had enough. You know, they're like, this isn't going well. And they fill out an affidavit. And on there it shows Jerry that the fact that she's a meth addict, and you know, and getting caught in the car and all of this sort of stuff, you know, the burglary charges, they put all of it forward. But a lawyer that they had said to them, listen, if you take that into the judge, you know, the affidavit with everything on, you're going to lose what access you have got with that little girl. Because this judge, you'll lose everything. Now, I don't know. Maybe it was one of those judges that, I don't, you know, we do hear about certain judges that only want to give to the mother, only want to give to the father, don't want to give certain rights. I don't know their reasonings behind it, and I certainly don't know the reasons behind why this lawyer would have told them that. But he says, look, just try and sort things out with Jerry out of court. Just try and keep it out of court. Don't know what it was said, but the judge never saw that affidavit. Never saw it, okay? So the judge agreed it could be dealt with out, you know, out of the, out of court. And what Jerry agreed to with Elise and Craig was that they could see Leiliana on the first and the third Saturday of each month, twice a month, from having this girl permanently in their home. But I think at this point they just take what they can get. They just want to see their granddaughter, you know, and the judge signs this off. It's just crazy, it really is. And with that going on, so they get to see Leiliana twice a month, and CPS at this point are visiting Jerry and the kids once a month, okay? So there are people at this point in the kids' lives, all right? So we get to the 23rd of February 2015. At this point, Leiliana's 3, all right? Now, Elise goes to the CPS worker and she tells them that Leiliana had come for a visit at their house, and she turns up with bruises on her face and a split lip, okay? They obviously took photos of this, and the caseworker speaks to Leiliana over the phone, and Leiliana says, yeah, you know, mommy smacked me in the face and the lips. She's 3. She's 3 years old. And like I say, this was in a phone call. So the CPS worker then visits, okay? And she visits Leiliana at Elise and Craig's home, and Leiliana tells her the same thing, you know, mommy smacked me in the face and the lips. Now, Jerry and Jerry's mum, now remember I mentioned her, Adeline. Now, Jerry's moved in with her mum, and she's living there with Leiliana and the little boy, okay? So they both claim that this didn't happen. They deny what Leiliana says altogether. They says that, no, that's not what happened. She's just a clumsy child. And, you know, she ran into a wall. She ran into a wall, apparently. Just ridiculous. And then a little while later, CPS speak to Leiliana again, and she then says, I ran into a wall. That didn't seem like it was coached at all. No one thought, hang on a minute, she's now back around her mum, and all of a sudden she's parroting what her mum had said. You know, now I know kids, I know there would be cases out there of kids maybe saying, yeah, this happened and this happened. And, you know, kids have an overactive imagination at the best of times. I know it must be a minefield for you know, a child worker, a social worker, should I say, to decide what's going on. But the marks, a split lip and then look, how, all right, the split lip maybe, but then it just didn't make sense to me, okay? But on the 3rd of April 2015, the investigation's closed, and it's closed with a report of no abuse, okay? So then we get to September 2015. And Jerry and the kids now move in with Jerry's new boyfriend, okay? New boyfriend's called Charles Wayne Pfeiffer, all right? And at this point, I believe he's 36, all right? Now, the home they move into was actually his late grandmother's home, all right? And as for Charles himself, he'd actually had a child removed himself by CPS in 2011, and that child went on to get adopted, okay? So not a good history with him either. And Charles is a drug addict too. You know, just a match made in heaven, really. Now, they stayed there with Charles for a few months, all right? But then they moved back to Adeline's. When I say they, it's Jerry, Leiliana, and her little brother, okay? They moved back to Adeline's, Jerry's mum's. Now, although they no longer live together, i.e. Jerry and Charles, I don't know, it doesn't say why she moved out, what was going on there. Are they still a couple and they're just choosing not to live with each other? It doesn't really elaborate. There's some little hints that it was fighting and stuff, but I haven't got anything definite, so I'm not going to go into that too much. It's not relevant, really, because she moves out, all right? Now, although they no longer live together, Jerry would go over often back to Charles's house, okay, as the couple enjoyed doing heroin together. And obviously she's living with her mum. She can't do that. It's not because she's got kids. It's not because she's got 2 young children, no. She doesn't want mommy to see. Just pathetic. Now we get to January 2016, and little Leiliana's age 4, okay? Now there's a CPS report done, call to say there was physical and sexual abuse, okay, and neglect by Jerry, okay? So the sexual abuse is said to have been by one of Jerry's relatives, all right? So on the 9th of February 2016, so, you know, nearly a month later, CPS finally get in touch with Jerry over this report. And they, you know, she denies all allegations, as does her mum. No, I don't know what's going on there. There's nothing to see here. I don't know what's going on. But when they are talking to Jerry and see Leiliana, they see that she's got a purple bruise under her left eye, and an old bruise. Like the left one looked quite new, but under her right eye, there's a quite obvious old bruise there as well. And Jerry would say that the old bruise was from a year ago. I don't know about bruises lasting a year, guys. I just don't know about that. Pretty sure they don't. But she says that, yeah, it's from a year ago when Leiliana ran into a table because she's so clumsy. There are photos of these bruises online. This is what I'm saying. If you want to see photos of this beautiful little girl, you can. But like I say, you might come across other photos of her as well, which are really, really sad. All right. Now, she also had a bruise on her hand, and Jerry said that a friend had smacked Leiliana. Turns out the friend was Charles. Charles was the friend she was talking about, okay? So Leiliana also, when the CPS worker's there, she brings up the sexual assault Leiliana does. She's a very bright little girl, and she tries to tell people what's happening. She told them that her mum was hitting her. She's told them, you know, that someone's touching her. And you know what CPS say? Well, they say keep Leiliana away from the family member who's supposedly sexually assaulting her. Keep her away from them. And also stay away from the friend who left a bruise on her hand. Like I say, the friend was Charles. The essay, we don't know much further into that. I can't elaborate on that. All I can go is on what I've read and what I've found. And it just says that Leiliana also says that happened, okay? So now we get to the 17th of February 2016. CPS file an affidavit, and what they put on there is to say that the kids should be removed from the home. But then they can't contact Jerry. All of a sudden, they can't get in touch with her. She's not in. I mean, if you want the kids removed from a home because you feel they're in danger, find them. Find the children. Get them out. Okay? So, we get to the 13th of March 2016. Okay? So, it's the early hours. All right? Now, 911's called. Okay? 911's called. And an ambulance. In America, it's like the fire service come out as first responders. They're like the equivalent of just our, you know, the smaller paramedics that can come out and just check you rather than a big ambulance, okay? So they are the first to come to Charles's home, all right? But when they walk in and they see Leiliana for the first time, okay, they see she's not breathing, she's cold, she's limp, she's a beautiful little girl. But they said that her face, it looked like there was like 75% of her face was covered in bruises. Okay. Now her eye is so swollen, she wouldn't have been able to see out of her eye. It says that her eye is so swollen. Obviously it's closed, but they said it had her eye, you know, had her eyes open, she wouldn't have been able to see out of it anyway. It was that swollen. She also had ligature marks on her little wrists. All right. Now, Jerry, mummy dearest, you know, the mum of the year there, she says she fell in the shower. She fell in the shower Now, um, Jerry then says, I want to go in the ambulance. All right. And they tell her, no, you're not going in the ambulance. You and him, i.e. Charles, are going to wait here for the police and the investigators because of the state of this little girl in front of them. Now, one of the firefighters, he didn't even wait for a stretcher. He just picked her up. Okay, now I've heard these firefighter talk about this moment, and he really struggles to get through. He really struggles to get through the words, okay? It's very, very sad to watch him talk about it, but like I say, he doesn't want to wait for a stretcher. He picks her up and he carries her out to the ambulance, and he actually says to his colleagues, you're coming with me. Okay, so the stretcher hadn't even had time to come in. He just rushes out. And him and his colleague leave with the ambulance with little Leilana. Leilania. Leave with her. And leave the fire truck with doors open and everything just in the middle of the road. He was just so upset by what he was seeing. It's very, very sad when you hear him talk about it. Now, when they get to the hospital, the doctors there, they try everything. They really do. They try everything to help little Leilania, but they can't, and they can't save her. Leiliana Wright was pronounced dead, age 4. Just so sad. Now, the autopsy that had been done on Leilania, okay, we'll go back to what was happening at the house at the time, but the autopsy showed that the cause of death was blunt force trauma to her head and her abdomen. And it says that she'd either been kicked or punched so hard that the wall of her stomach slammed into her spine. It slammed into us. I didn't even know that was something that could happen. And there was also evidence of sexual assault. Okay. Now, Jerry and Charles, they told police that Leilania had been at a friend's house for 2 days. Now, remember, she'd fell in the shower. Remember, that was what was said. Now they were saying that she'd been at a friend's house for 2 days. A friend's house, look, she's 16. She's 4. And she'd come home with all those bruises. And they thought maybe it was the friend's older sister. They said then she took a shower, you know, and they heard a bang while she was in there. And when they went in, she collapsed in the shower and they called 911. That's their explanation of what these medical professionals have just seen on this child. Okay. Now, Jerry, after she's given this explanation, she then goes up to one of the police officers, one of the investigators that are there, and she says, well, can I talk to you on your own? And he's like, right, okay. And he takes her outside. I believe he takes her into his police car. And she says, right, now I'm going to tell you what really happened. Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it. Because we know that wasn't true. Okay, so apparently Leilania had been naughty over the past couple of days. So Jerry was saying, okay. She said she'd been answering her back, you know, and also included in this naughtiness, right, you ready? Included in this naughtiness and how naughty she was being for Jerry, she was being sick and not eating. That was her being naughty and, you know, out of control because she was vomiting and she wouldn't eat. To me, that suggests there's something wrong with your child. You know, maybe go and get them checked out, maybe. But no, this was her being, naughty. Now, there was a text that was seen between Jerry and Charles, and Jerry had actually said about this vomiting of Leiliana that she was doing it for attention. She's throwing up for attention. I don't know about you. I mean, everyone in my family knows I always turn into a baby if I'm sick. I mean, vomiting sick. I genuinely do. Feel like I can't breathe, and it's all the end of the world, and it's... Who would do that for attention? Who would put themselves through that for attention? But this is what, Mummy says. So now we're going to go back to 2 days earlier. Okay, this is the 11th of March 2016. During this time where Leilani has been apparently naughty and she's been sick. Okay, so around this is 2 days earlier. Leilani is throwing up 2 days earlier. And this was apparently from a bump on her head. That was from a fall. It was from a fall. She had a bump on her head. Was it? Now, while doing heroin, okay, Charles and Jerry, they would hit her every time she vomited because she was seeking, she was attention seeking. So while they was high as kites on heroin, they were beating this child because they believed that she was being sick for attention. Nothing to do that obviously Ronnie has belted her in her head, and she was struggling. She needed help. Now she was also beaten not just with their hands and their feet. She was beaten with a belt and a bamboo stick / switch. Okay, she's 4 years old, and that's what they were beating her for with. While she's vomiting, while she's really poorly. Okay, now we come to the 12th of March 2016, and this is the day before she dies. Now, she died on the 13th early hours, so this is the day before. Okay, now Jerry goes back to Charles's with both kids. So after this, the day before, when they were beating her for vomiting, she must have brought Leilani and her son back to her mum's. Okay, so now she's brought them back to Charles's, so they could do heroin together again. I still don't get why she moved out to begin with. If she was just going to go back there every day, I don't understand. But then after she'd got her fix, she decided she needed to do some errands for some shopping, whatever it was. Okay, so she takes her son back to her mum's with her, but she leaves Alania there. Why did you leave her there? I'll tell you why she left her there. Because she said she couldn't take her because she was so badly bruised from the beating she's been getting for the past few days. Okay. Now we get to 3:30 p.m. Okay. And Jerry comes back. All right. And she comes back with energy type drink, one of those to replace, the fluids that you've lost from vomiting and stuff, one of those drinks that you can take just to replace all the nutrients that you've lost. Okay. Now when she walked in, Leilani was watching TV, but she was being made to watch it standing up. Okay, so Leilani was very quiet. She's just looking at the TV. I doubt she was actually taking in what was on, because she was stood up. And apparently this was her punishment for getting sick. Okay. Now, Jerry and Charles, so rather than seeing your daughter stood there, quite obviously uncomfortable, quite obviously would not want to be there, being punished because she's being sick, rather than going, right, okay, well, I've come to grab her, I'm gonna take her back. No. Do you want to know what Mummy Dearest does? Her and Charles go in the bathroom to do another hit of heroin. That's what they go and do. And then Jerry decides she needs a nap. She needs a nap after that. But rather than taking a nap there at Charles's, no, she goes back to her mum's. And I don't believe it's because of that. I believe her mum was like, come back, because she'd left her son there. It seems to me that she was very aware of her mum, you know, in the sense of she wouldn't do drugs in the house. You know, she wasn't going to bring Leilani back there when her mum could see her. You know, it seems there was a fear there of her mum in some way, shape or form. But she doesn't take Leilani back, like I say. And then she calls Charles once she's woke up from her nap. And she asks about Leilani, and he's like, yeah, she's fine. And she goes, oh, okay then. So Jerry, along with her little boy and her parents, they all go for a steak dinner. They all go for a nice steak dinner. Nice family meal. I'm sure Leilani would have loved that. But she couldn't eat because someone had really hurt her. Okay. So then at 9 p.m, Jerry puts her son to bed. I've heard it's between 9, I've heard it 9:30, I've heard 10. But I've heard 9 o'clock the most, okay? So at 9 p.m, Jerry puts her son to bed, and she returns to Charles's house, okay? And when she walks in, she can't see Leilani, but she doesn't ask about her. She just instead goes straight in, and her and Charles go straight into the bathroom. You know, the best room in the house for them pair. And they get their fix of heroin again. Okay? And then, and only then, does she look around and she asks, where's Leilani? Okay. So Charles says, well, she's in the closet. And I've seen the pictures of the living room. And there's a very small closet in the living room. Would just be somewhere to hang coats. Okay. So when Charles opens the closet door, what Jerry said she could see was little Leilania's hands tied behind her back. She's 4. Remember this. Her hands are tied behind her back with some wire. Okay. And then she's tied up to where she's hung where the coats would be. He's hung her in the closet. Oh, God. It basically must have tied her hands behind her back and then tied these belts, like old belts, onto where he's tied them. And then she was hooked onto where they hang the coats up. Of course, she couldn't sit down because she's hung up. And also, Jerry said she had some tied around her stomach as well. She had something tied around her stomach as well. And more bruises. More bruises from even when she'd seen her that afternoon. I just don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know how. How can you do that to a child? Now, Jerry straight away tells him to untie Leilani. Okay. Don't do it yourself. Don't do it yourself. get him to pull her down, all right? So then Jerry goes into the kitchen to make her a sandwich, all right? Of course, she can't eat it. How can she eat it? How on earth can she eat? She's been throwing up for days. She's been hung up in a closet with her arms wrapped out. She's been beaten. She's been hit with belts and switches, and I'll make you so. I believe it was a peanut butter sandwich. I don't have words. But because she couldn't eat it, Charles gets angry again. He gets angry. Like he hasn't done enough damage. I mean, and like I say, there was more bruises on little Leiliana than even what Jerry had seen. So what has he been doing to her in those few hours? So he gets angry again, and he grabs her by the face. All right. He then forces the energy drink, I think it's called Pedialyte, down her throat. All right. Now, Leilani stood there for a second. Obviously, she must have just been, I can't even imagine what this little girl was thinking by this point. Okay. And apparently she was just stood there quite quiet next to her mum. All right. Okay. And then what she does, she tries to run out of the kitchen to the bathroom because she's about to be sick again. Don't know how she must have just been retching at that point. She has to have been. And as she runs, she does actually get sick, but she gets sick in the kitchen. Oh, he's furious. He's absolutely furious. She's got sick on his kitchen floor. He then lifts her up off the floor by her throat, and he slams her into the wall so hard that there's actually a dent in the wall. There's actually a dent left in the wall. He then picks her back up and throws her into the closet in the living room. I just... when she is taken back out of the closet, okay, she'd vomited on herself again. This poor child. So Jerry puts her in the shower. That'll help things. That'll help. That will, you know. She puts her in the shower and she goes to get her some clothes. But there wasn't just Jerry in the bathroom with Leiliana. Charles was in there too. So when Jerry leaves to go and get Leilania's clothes, you know, wherever they may have been in the house, she starts to hear Charles in there shouting, and there's banging in the bathroom. He's hung this child up. He's beaten her all day. He's then lifted her by she's grabbed her by her face, forced a drink down her throat, to which she's vomited it straight back up onto his kitchen floor, where he's grabbed her by her throat, lifted her into the air, thrown her into the wall, picked her up, thrown her into a cupboard, and he still can't leave her alone. So he's shouting at her in the bathroom, and Jerry hears him say, "Get you some of this," whatever this may have been. So then as Jerry's walking back to the bathroom, she sees Charles walking out of the bathroom, okay? And then when Jerry went in there, Leilania had collapsed in the shower, okay? So then Jerry, she didn't phone 911 straight away though. She gets her out, she dries her, she gets her dressed. And then she's like, let's phone 911 now. Now she's all prepared. She's got her covered up, You know, she can't do anything about the bruises on her face, but she's covered the rest of her. And Charles is like, don't be silly, she's faking. She's faking this. We don't need to phone 911. But eventually, even he could see that little Leiliana had stopped breathing at this point. And he then calls 911. Okay? It's just I have no words. And whilst both were questioned, Jerry herself, she admits that she would hit Leiliana too. Now, don't forget, before she'd even met Charles, I mentioned at the beginning of this story, quite early on into Jerry getting Leiliana back, there was the bruise on her face and the split lip. And little Leiliana saying, "Mommy smacked me in the lip, in the face and on the face and on the lips," if you remember. So Jerry was very much involved in the torture of this child. And she also admits that not only would she smack Leiliana, she'd also hit her with belts and bamboo sticks. So Jerry's charged with felony injury to a child. Charles is also charged with the exact same thing. Okay. Now, while waiting for the trial, Charles does do like a TV interview, like a journalist. His lawyer had advised him against time and time again, quite a few times actually. He was like, don't do this. And in the interview, he basically says, you know, she was my little buddy. You know, I loved her. She was great. You know, we were just, you know, it was Jerry. Jerry used to hit her. And I personally thought she'd be better off back with, you know, Elise and Craig. And I was trying to, you know, navigate that to get Leiliana back with them. But I was trying to hide it from Jerry. You know, just trying to make out this whole thing was all Jerry. It was ridiculous, and I don't blame his lawyer for telling him not to do it. So we get to July of 2017, and the trials begin. Okay. Now, Jerry herself, much like the story we done the other day, she pleads guilty. Okay. And with the plea deal that she took, she has to testify against Charles. I don't know why these plea deals are always allowed. I don't understand it. Story I did on Thursday. I don't understand why these mums are allowed to do this and plea against when they're very much involved. Not only aware of it, but they're involved. I don't get why these plea deals are allowed. But she takes a plea deal to testify against Charles, and her sentence is 50 years. So a lot more than what was given in the last story, but still, you know, it should have been life, no parole. I've no qualms about saying that. But we get to October of 2018, and it's Charles's trial. Okay, now, he'd not only got the charge of what I'd mentioned earlier, which was the felony injury to a child. The grand jury had also brought in capital murder in with his charges. Okay, so that's what he was going to trial for. Now, the defense didn't bring anybody. Charles didn't testify in his own trial. They didn't bring any defense witnesses. It was just all the prosecution bringing the witnesses. Obviously, Jerry herself, who admitted, you know, she was a heroin addict and she was, you know, high all the time, you know, basically saying she doesn't know what's going on. Where the defense of Charles was like, well, look, you know, she's saying she doesn't know. She's saying she doesn't know, you know, what's going on. It was her the whole time. But there was proof and there was witnesses to say, you know, she hadn't been there on that day for the most of the time. You know, she was seen when she'd gone for the meal at the steakhouse, you know, the lovely steak dinner they'd gone for. She'd been out running errands, whatever they might have been. She'd been seen by people. There was phone calls that, you know, when she'd phoned Charles's house after her nap, if you remember. She was there. She was there with that final beating, though. She was there for that. She didn't stop that. She didn't stop that, did she? But, you know, she'd been out earlier on. They'd also brought the firefighter who'd carried little Leiliana Wright, and it's heartbreaking to watch his testimony because he breaks within seconds of talking about that moment of having to lift Leilani up rather than wait for the stretcher and wait for, you know, all the equipment to come in. He just picked her up and rushed her, right? And he does get so emotional over it. There's a victim impact statement made by Brian, which is obviously Leilani's dad. Just basically saying, you should have let me have her. You know, he was fuming, this guy was. But the sentence is brought down and Charles is given life, no parole. You know, I don't know. It was Texas. I don't know why we couldn't have got the death penalty for this guy. I don't know why. Certainly deserved. How do you hit a child so hard that the wall of her stomach hits her spine? How is that? How does that happen? And when did that happen? When in all that time period? Is that why she was vomiting? How is that what pain she was in? Did it happen in the bathroom at the last minute? Or had she been coping with that pain for 2-3 days? You know, I just don't know. And again, this guy wasn't in their lives long. Few months. He wasn't in their lives long at all. It's just crazy. The judge himself, he actually says hanging a child in a closet is savage. You should die in a locked closet, but Texas hasn't got that ability or something. He really was brutal. He said he'd never come across this. You know, the poor jury. The photos were brought down by the prosecutor, not the prosecutor, sorry, the pathologist, for them to see the photos of little Leilani. And it was said, you know, it was just heartbreaking. These were awful, awful photos. Now, those aren't the ones that are online, okay? Just the ones that are on there that, you know, she's got a really, really dark black eye in one of the photos, and then other photos, you know, she's bruised. It's just awful. It really is. But just a disgrace. And when the judge has watched all this, seen all this, heard all this, and he happens to just lose, I suppose you could say, professionalism for a split second, because his emotions have got the better of him in anger when he's passed down this sentence, the Judicial Ethics Commission step in and basically reprimand that judge, saying it was very undignified what he'd said. What? Look, I understand they can't jump out with their robe on and grab, you know, if it was Charles, grab Charles by the throat or something. I know they can't do things like that. I understand. But he just says, I hope you should die. You know, you should die in a locked closet. I don't think that should have led to him being reprimanded over it. I really don't. I think it's a fantastic thing that he said it. I wish more judges would be a bit more brutal in cases like this, but it's a shame anyway. Now, of course, the children's services, child services, of course, changes are going to be made, blah, 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 as they always are. But there was one thing that happened that is quite unusual. The caseworker that had been looking after Leilani and her supervisor were both fired, which, you know, I haven't heard that. You know, it's an unusual thing to happen. So I thought, well, good. But, you know, they were just basically saying, you know, we had too many cases and we were overwhelmed and everything else. But regardless, they were fired. Now, one, so they should be, okay? You know, this should have been dealt with much quicker. You know, things spotted, you know, a lot earlier. But I do believe that they would have been scapegoated given the fact that this was such a big case. And I felt, although her supervisor was also fired, I do believe that people higher should have also, you know, got in trouble too. But like I say, it's unusual for anything to happen. So, no, there was a vigil done for little Leiliana with her family and their friends, and apparently there was, you know, there was a very big crowd that was there for her vigil, and they all wore like bright yellow shirts with Justice for Leiliana on there, and you know, her dad, her grandparents, just heartbroken, just absolutely heartbroken over it, and her grandparents had really tried. They'd really tried, right down to trying to adopt her, you know, as quick as once Jerry had got out and they realised this isn't going to end well. They really tried, and I just don't understand why that lawyer told them not to hand that affidavit in. I just don't know. I want to know why. Or was it because he knew that judge was going to throw the book at him and say, right, you can't say them? I've done Ellie Mae Butler, her case, and we know what happened with her grandparents. Very, not a similar case, but with regards to grandparents' rights, you know, they got in a lot of trouble, they did, for trying to protect little Ellie Mae. It's a minefield. So, but I'd like to know why he advised them not to. Was that the reason? But yeah, that was the harrowing Leiliana Wright story. Just awful. I only found out about this case probably about a week ago, and just the thought of that little girl hanging in the cupboard, I just think, where's the mentality in that as a grown man? I'm saying the words and it just doesn't, it's so unbelievable to me. Like, where's your brain when you're doing that to a child? I just don't get it. But thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I genuinely do. Thank you so much. Like I say, I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Or I'm over on TikTok if you'd like to go over there. But thank you so much again. And I will see you soon. I'm back on Thursday, so I'll see you soon. But take care. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care. How are we all? How are we doing? Hi, Tyler. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. How are you? And how would she be a grandparent yet? How on earth? But, yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that, sis. Thanks for that. Well, that was hard. That was hard. Thanks. Tyler, are you hiding your... Just shows I'm doing good, been working, saving up so I can come visit you. Tyler, are you hiding your comments again? Think about it. Are you hiding your comments again? Because no one can see your comments. Yeah, I bet you was. I bet you was howling. You're terrible. That was probably one of my hardest. That was probably one of my hardest. And I need to watch it back. I don't even know if I held it. That was awful. Between the two ears, I was like, I can't do this. I actually can't do this. I don't know how I powered through. You was on a roll? You was? Oh, okay. No, it's okay, Tyler. It's just no one else can see you. No one else can see one here, and I don't know why. I don't know, Jessica. Tiffany, have a look why we can't see Tyler's comments. Well, why can no one else see his comments? Can you see why? Actually, maybe I can. Hold on a second, Tyler. It's just... hold on. Hold on a second. I just want to see what's going on, Tyler. 1 second. Oh, goodness sake. Hold on. It's not letting me do it. No, it's not. It's not saying anything. No, Jessica, no. I did that one. That was Tori Stafford. That one was. I did that one last year. And that was the one where I actually stopped my channel for a year because I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Just in the sense that can you not see him either? Yeah, he's there. So, Jess Rose, would you like to go on a movie date with me? Tyler, I don't even think you're in England, sweet. But no, Jessica, it was yeah, he did get to me, and it was just when you realise just how evil people can be. And I think at that point, for some reason, and it wasn't, I won't say it's not my worst, they're all horrific, but you probably wouldn't, knowing the stories I've done, you probably wouldn't understand why it was that one. But there was just something about that one. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't. I don't know why. And just a week went into a month. And then it went into 6 months. And before you know it, I was coming around to a year. And it was just, the longer I left it, the harder it was to come back. It was crazy, that was. It was crazy to think. I can't imagine not being on here, to be honest, again now. But yeah, it was weird, that was. I've just been doing this for sometimes thinking it. 6 years. 6 years now. 6 years been doing it. When can I come and visit you? Would you like to? Tyler, where are you in the world? Tell me where you are. It's like me with that poor Indian. Yes, Warwick, that's right. Yeah, you just get one that's like, I can't. I don't understand the mentality. Like tonight's one though, I genuinely, you try and think, like, you know you can't put yourself in their position because you know you're not like these people in any way, shape or form, but you just try and think of exactly, Tiffany, it does. You just try and think, like, what would the situation have been like in that, at that time? How would it have escalated to that? And sometimes I'm just like tonight, I don't get how your temper can be so bad that it can stay for the amount of time it would take to tie her up and do what he did. Like, how can your temper stay for that long? There's got to be a point where your brain kicks in and goes, what are you doing? And that's where they're the ones that I struggle with, where it's a prolonged, it's not a flash in the pan, it's prolonged. And it's like, surely there's got to be a point where you're like, no. And the same with you on about Jyoti Singh. It's at some point on that bus, they've got to have been like, right, okay, it's enough now. And you just can't get your head around why. How does it continue? How does it escalate? It's crazy, really. Maybe I can get your number and can tell you more about it. Oh, sorry, I can see you. Do you know my sister's lesbian? Oh, she can see you now. Yeah, you're about to get it in the neck now. Ever thought you might have been into bondage? Warwick! Why? 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 Having quite a serious conversation. Is that why? Was it too serious? Oh my God. I'll tell you what. But Tyler, thank you so much for the yes, you did. Got me. You're trying all bloody now, ain't ya? That's terrible. We're watching True Crime and situating us ago with my late grandmother when I was a kid. Callie Anthony knows the best. Yeah, I think mine was there was a book that I read. Where am I? It's probably about the same age, Jessica, and it was a book that I read. It was one of my mum's books. It was a Look for the Woman, it's called. And it was just all female murderers going back to like the 16th century. Or was it the 17th century? 17th century would be the 1600s, wouldn't it? Going all the way back. And yeah, it's like a massive, thick black book. And I just saw it there and I started reading it, and that's where the fascination began, I think, all the way back then. So yeah, it was similar age. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Tiffany! Stop it! Determined to know what use pair, ain't ya? Absolutely determined. Was that not conditioning by your grandmother, Jessica? Oh dear, yous are terrible. Laugh it off, laugh it off. Just laugh it off. Not funny. It'd be funny if I wasn't saying it. I feel like my forehead stinging. Has Tyler gone? Has it disappeared? I feel like he's gone. Yeah. Oh no. Let's go out for coffee and then you take me to your house and we watch a movie together. Oh, Tyler, this isn't that type of channel, baby. It's not. It's really not. I think it's time, Tiffany. Yeah, let's go. I think it's that time. Thank you. Yeah. It's getting a bit bizarre. Yeah, had to go. My mum doesn't follow true crime that. Only times there's a John Morris. Hold on. It drives me crazy. It keeps disappearing. My mum doesn't follow true crime that. Only time was. Oh yes, I know. Give it a few months, a few days, then you bring me over. Yeah. Sorry, Tyler. I couldn't say that one. Susan Smith, that was the two boys, wasn't it? I haven't done that one. I haven't actually done that one. Is that with the two little boys and the car? I think that's that one, isn't it? Right, yeah, she got me into it. Oh, really? Oh, we'll have to say. We'll have to say what happened. Very bizarre. Very strange. But he obviously doesn't know I go the other way. Maybe. Even though you did try to say, look how tanned my hand is. Can you see how tanned my hand is? Think your mum had a right idea. What is going on? It's saying there's 5 of us. Did I see Kelly? I saw Kelly as well earlier. Has she gone? I keep missing her. I keep starting the story and then missing her. I saw Kelly and obviously Jilly. I wonder if that's who's there. I feel like probably all the playing with your missus, sis. Probably all the playing with your missus. Oh, yeah. Woo. God, sorry. So slow. But what I was going to say is my hand looks really brown when I'm looking at it here. It looks beautiful. But then when I hold it up on camera, it still looks really pale. It really does. Right. Oh, on that note, anyway, I'm going to let yous go. I am. But thank you so much, guys, for joining me. And almost getting my It does, doesn't it? Does he look brown? It does, doesn't it? You can cover that one. It wasn't until and it was okay. You just look though, look. All brown. Yeah, I might look at that one, Jessica. I might look at doing that one. The Susan Smith. Is Susan Smith, is it? I might look at doing that one. But that'll be when I come back, because we only have one more story to go, guys, and then I'm off to Lanzarote. I'm off for 2 weeks. So last one on Thursday, but we do I want to let you know? No, well, I'll let you know on the day what story I'm doing. I feel like I know what one I'm doing, but as Tiff will tell you, I changed my mind halfway through the day. That's why I don't send you the post until a little bit later, because I think, I'm definitely going to do that one. And then half the time I'll change my mind again. So, I'll let you know on Thursday which one I'm doing. Adam Walsh as well. That's John Walsh's son. I don't think he did that one. I can have a look at that one, Jessica. Put it in my comments after. Put it in the comments after and I'll have a look for you. But have a lovely evening, guys, and a lovely couple of days. Lovely evening. Lovely couple of days. Warwick. Why right? Good night, Warwick. Oh, you called him Warwick? Why are you calling him Warwick? Oosh. You can't call him Warwick. He won't like that. You can't call him that. Even I clocked that. I clocked that was a bit odd. So, anyway, I will see you. So, quickly say goodnight, hubby, before I go. Otherwise, look, comment, subscribe, guys. Look, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Look, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. There you go. There we go. All good. And I will see you Thursday. Take care. Bye. Throat's going and everything. Don't put the finger, not the finger. No, guys. Look, comment, subscribe.